decaf beans that we've been trying to like. Sure.
7 p.m. Sponsor us, please.
Episode behind the bar, we have Marcos, a dear friend of mine, one of the worship leaders at church. Always go to him for advice, and just he has really solid takes. So, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in coffee.
For sure. I'm Marcos. This is Coffee Sensei. I gotta be serious. I'm Marcos, father of four, married, worked in coffee for a little while, and yeah, that's a little bit about me. I play music, nerd out on coffee stuff, hang out with my 4 kids and my wife. Pretty much, it's my life.
One of the biggest coffee nerds I know. Before working in coffee, what first got you interested in it?
Honestly, Starbucks. So, uh, back when I was like in middle school, like frappuccinos were like a thing, and so I was like, "I'm gonna try it." And I was like, "Oh, these are really good." And, it was like the white one that had no coffee in it. So then I stepped up to the frappuccino with coffee in it, and I liked it. And then in high school, me and my friend found a local on Broadway, and they were doing affogatos, and I mean, I was, like, in high school. So we would just ride the bus over there and after school and would just, like, eat affogatos, and we thought we were, like, the coolest people in the world because we discovered, like, this niche spot that served something crazy. I hated the espresso, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was just, like, there for the ice cream.
I mean, that's exactly what Nat said too when she started working at 10. She's like, "I didn't like the espresso." The same here. Honestly, it seems like the introduction is usually the same. Like for her, it was also Starbucks. For me, it was Starbucks. For Jess, it was Starbucks. So I think there's like a trend. So like that being said, do you remember the moment that coffee became more than just like a sweet treat or like a drink for you?
For sure, bro. Like, so it would kinda was like an ease in, but I do have a moment where it was like, this is, like, life changing. So, basically, I, like, work my way from, like, affogato to, like, lattes, some, like, sweeteners and stuff, and then, like, down to cappuccino. This took, like, years. Down to, like, a cortado and, like, all that stuff. So, uh, one time I worked at a church downtown, and it was right in the Pearl, and I would walk over to local at the Pearl. I had a friend that worked there, and I was like, "Hey, dude, like, I'm kind of in the mood for whatever, like, what do you recommend? I usually get this, but what do you recommend?" And he was like, "Well, have you ever had, like, a pour over?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is, but, like, I'll have an open mind, just serve me whatever, and I'll drink it." He's like, "Okay, I got you." And so he made me this pour over, and bro, it was, like, the first time I ever had, natural processed coffee, and so it just was like if you don't know what a natural is, like, Google it. Like, it's it's like this crazy process of coffee, and, like, it was super blueberry and, like, super just I didn't know coffee could taste like that. So, from then on, that, like, became, like, the cup that I was chasing, like, for years after that, and I would go back I remember going back, like, a week later and being like, "Dude, can you give me that pour over again? Like, I don't know what it's called," and he would serve me all these pour overs, and they weren't naturals. I guess they, like, phased that one out. So, I would just be like, "No, this is not it. It's not the one." I would drink it, but that became when it was like, "Oh, okay, I'm chasing this cup," like,
Mhm.
um, and he, like yeah, that was, like, a turning point for me.
That sounds delicious.
It was good.
Like, yeah, it sounds like Ethiopians always just like they hit different. That's my like favorite. Would you say that led you to want to work in the industry?
Like, honestly, the answer is really shallow why I wanted to work in the industry, like, I just wanted to be kinda cool. I thought baristas were cool.
They are. Like when I worked at 10, like the vibes, like you want to work
Right.
the vibe, the look. But then when like the first day I worked, it kind of I felt a little disillusioned, not in a bad way. It's just like, oh, this is the reality. Like you got to stock, you got to.
Yeah, there's nothing than just standing there and, like, looking cute.
Uh,
I just honestly, I thought it was cool, but then I wanted to work somewhere. When I was younger, I was really, like, lazy. So, I was like, "Well, where can I work that I don't really have to, like, do something I don't wanna do?" So,
Mhm.
I was like, "Well, I like coffee. I wanna be a cool guy, so, let me go work at the coffee shop." And, they hired me, and that's kinda when I kinda started my journey with, like, trying a bunch of different stuff. Because from that point, I already had that pour over, and so I was already, like, chasing it. I was like, "Okay, I wanna learn more about this. What was that?" how do I get more of it? Where do you find that? What's a V60? Like, what's all this stuff? Like, and then I was like, well, if I work here, I could probably learn a lot more too. I want to work there. I want to dip my toe in the coffee world.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good, man. It's good to I don't remember if you've shared that with me before, so, like, it's always fun to get it now it's something you wanna hold over your head. It's like, "Did you know" tell Collins, "Did you know this guy's got into it?" Because he's like
I just wanted to be cool. That's it.
I I get it, honestly, same. When you started working in coffee, what was one lesson you learned while working in there that, like, still sticks with you today?
I would say like being detail oriented. I think that's really important. Like when you're working in a shop, what makes it good is like the little details.
Mm,
Like, and so when you're at home, I mean, I'm pretty selfish in the sense of like, I want a really good cup at home. Like I want a cafe quality cup. Um, and so like I learned that all those like what all the little details were to make a good cup
mhm,
and that they all matter. Like you can't like skip over one or like, kind of like cut a corner here because it'll sometimes it won't taste bad. It just won't taste the best.
yeah,
Um, and so that's something that I feel like the good coffee shops that are like you go to the coffee shops now, the good ones are the ones that pay attention to like the details.
mhm,
Because that was kind of the thing, you go into some coffee shops and you'll go in and you have like just a banger of a drink. And then you go in again and you order the same thing and it's like, dude, this is garbage. Like it's just the inconsistency. So the little details that go into making something consistent. Like I think that's something I picked up, I've kept. I think I see that in a lot of good shops and people that make good drinks and stuff.
once you got behind the scenes, what surprised you the most?
It's a lot of work. I didn't it's a lot of work. I think you said it too, like,
No, yeah, I think that's the same thing.
you kinda think of a barista, you just think of, like, same the whole reason I did it was, like, just to be kinda cool guy, and you kinda learn that there's a lot of details, and all the details matter. I guess this surprised me a lot is how dirty it can get, like, how dirty your station can get, whether you're making drinks or you're, like, taking orders, like, how organized you kinda have to be.
Mm,
We'll work at 10 every once in a while and pick up, some shifts or something, but, one thing that surprised me is just how clean and, like, organized people were, like,
yeah.
in coffee, and they kinda made it look easy, and I didn't know is that hard to be clean and organized and, like, keep your stuff together and then, like, do everything with a smile on your face too. It was a lot of work, and I wasn't expecting that, so it was surprising.
Looking back, what was your favorite memory from the time when you were working in coffee? Do you have, like, a favorite memory or something like that just, like, has always stuck with you? Whether it's something funny, something that you cherish.
There is this guy, I will never forget this. There was this guy, and, I was working in Alamo Heights, and obviously, when I tell you the story, you're gonna be like, "Yes, you were working in Alamo Heights." Because this guy came in, he always ordered a pour over, and he was an older dude. At the time, like, it was a really busy shop, and so kind of every 30 minutes, and sometimes even more, there would be 2 of us, so one of us would take orders, the other of us would pull shots and make drinks, and then, like, if there wasn't a line, the other person would help milk steam, and then if there wasn't much going on, we would take the time to go get all the dishes in the cafe and bring 'em back. So, we saw the guy sitting there, and then we went and did 1 round of dish pickup, and his stuff was still there, and, like, his dishes were still there, but I was like, "I think he's still sitting there." And so, I didn't take him, and then another round, we did it, 30 minutes later, and he still wasn't there, and I was like, "Wow, I don't know if he left yet. Maybe he's in the bathroom." And then so, I was like, "Well, surely the 3rd round,
Mm.
like, if his dishes are still there, I'm gonna pick him up and take him. He's gone, right?" So I pick him up, I take him, and the guy comes back and starts, like, accusing us of, like, stealing some pen that he had, like, some, like, really fancy pen, like and we were just like, "Dude, we don't have your pen," like, dude, he was, like, yelling at us, he was, like, flipping over, like, trash cans, like, he was kinda going wild, and I was like, "Dude, I didn't see a pen, I just took your dishes, like, that's it, like, that's it, I didn't touch anything else. There was nothing there, so I don't know." And so he, like, complains, he makes it all the way up to, like, upper management local. So he got, like, I think a free drink card for, like, a month or something like that, which was crazy. I guess they was trying to appease him. They
Yeah.
gave him a free drink card, and so the guy would come in and you order a pour over. Anyway, long story short, every pour over after that, we always served him decaf, and he would and every single time, he would come back and be like, "Guys, that was delicious." Like, we pour over, "Oh, what's up? What's so and so?" Be like, he's like, "I got my free drinker." I was like, "Yeah, you do, buddy." Just pour over decaf. Yeah, dude, that's my favorite is
Imagine he catch
dude, that's you liked it, it was good.
at least he liked it. At least it was good.
And we didn't care, dude, we would just or whatever.
Always be nice to the people that are handling your food and drink.
For sure.
Not that you guys were doing anything bad, but still, like,
Hey, he just said he would never specify the pour over, he would just say, "Give me a pour over," and I said, "Okay, buddy." And so I gave him one.
this is a crazy pivot from that story. I know since you've left, you came back, you still help, like, you help out at Tend. Now kinda being back in it, like, in it after being out, like, how would you say it's the coffee industry's changed since leaving?
Um, I would say the biggest thing that's changed, is matcha. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, matcha used to not be a big deal. I remember when we introduced it at local when I first got there and, like, it wasn't a big deal. Now it's a huge deal, but I would say the biggest thing is, like, kind of like your more, like, I would call them, like, floofy drinks, like, are really popular, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, everybody gets into coffee from the floofy drink. I mean, I literally was talking about how Starbucks cinnamon dolce frappuccino got me into third wave coffee, right? So cool. So there's always gonna be that. There's nothing wrong with it. I think Starbucks, which is crazy, I don't think the coffee necessarily is good, but like the concept,
Mhm.
I think they really changed a lot of stuff. And I think they influence like third wave coffee a lot. And then even like this kind of new wave of coffee, I still think credit to Starbucks that they kind of created cold foam and like these things that all the cafes are doing. Now, I will say cafes will take it and they'll do it with better ingredients to do it better.
Mm.
I think that's the thing that's changed is you kinda see a lot of cafes that start to do more fun drinks, and that's cool. Not my thing personally, but I think it is cool to see that and you cast a wider net and you maybe get people that can take their steps into
Yeah.
coffee. It's like a gateway drink, you know what I mean?
In most shops nowadays, they have at least one drink catered to the people, like, only like the sweet.
Oh, I think the coolest thing about it is that you couldn't really get that too much at, like, some of the third wave shops.
Mhm,
Brown, for the longest time, wouldn't do any sweetener other than honey or agave or something,
mhm.
and they would do only milk, like whole milk or black, and that's it. And which is cool, like, if you're a purist, I mean, that's awesome, right? But what's cool now is that you have cafes like Tend. I think Tend's a great example. Manny is super detail oriented, which is really cool. And so, like, each drink is really good. I've had all the sweet drinks, they're really good. But you can get a sweet drink and kinda gateway yourself into more of the more coffee purist type stuff, so you can gateway yourself into, like, a cappuccino or, like, try the drip or, maybe do the sweet drink with a little bit less milk and see
Yeah.
how you like it, right? Taste the coffee a little bit more and then kinda work your way down. I feel like that's what people do. They'll work their way down to, like, maybe try an espresso one day, or some drip. Try some drip, see what you think. Try a pour over or something.
I think for me, one of, like, my favorite or was one and one I know we talked about earlier this morning, he had this one drink, I forgot what it was called, um, but it was like a tiramisu, but, like, he had the cold foam and everything like that, but he had, like it was served in a small it wasn't served, like, in a 16 ounce or 12 ounce, maybe, like, a 10 ounce, to really have, like, that perfect balance of, like, sweetness, but you're very, like, coffee forward, like
Yeah.
tiramisu. Henry, how he's very, like, particular with the coffee and stuff like that. He likes, he likes very specific drinks, but still catering to people that have that sweet tooth, but also it's gonna help push them into trying other things.
Everybody likes sweet drinks, dude. Like, even the other day on Sunday, I was like, "You know what, dude? I'm in a mood for something sweet." And, like, it was cool to go to a shop and be like, "Well, I can have something that still tastes really good." Like,
Yeah.
I could still taste the coffee and the coffee's quality and, throw in some freaking sweet, floofy stuff too, you know?
I know you've been out you haven't really, like, you left local merit, whichever whatever name it was at the time, a while back, but you're still one of the biggest coffee enthusiasts I know. Why do you think coffees remains such, like, a big part of your life?
I like it a lot. So, like, when I worked in coffee, it kinda awakened something in me where I was, like, chasing like I said, dude, chasing you kinda chase that, like, that cup.
Yeah.
And then you have another cup, right? And, like, I had a cup at Brown. I remember I was sitting with Lexi one time, we went to Brown, and we and on a date, and this guy at Brown made me, once again, another pour over. If you haven't had pour over, go get a good one. Like, it'll change your life, dude. Like, it was the best. Like, it's still, like, my top when I think about my top 3 drinks I've ever had,
Mhm.
that's on the list. Like, a pour over from Brown, and I think it was, like, some Gesha or something. I don't know what it was. It was
Yeah.
delicious. I would say that that's like, that chase, like, keeps it I was like, "Well, I don't work in a cafe anymore. I can't work in a cafe, really. I got 4 kids. Like, I guess I could, but, like, I gotta feed all these kids." You know what I'm saying? Like, so I gotta do something else, but I really like coffee, like, I want to be able to keep that in my life because I really like it, and I like the ritual of it, I like making a pour over, which now that's kinda gone away a little bit because of some equipment, but I still like it, I like getting up, you know, doing the ritual of it,
Yeah.
and having a really good cup and, like, kinda slowing that, like, slow down in the morning where you're kinda just like, like, that is, like, the best, and then my wife loves coffee, like, we a lot of dates at coffee shops, like, and it's kind of been an important place in my life, like the coffee shop, which is cool. So now that I get to have that at home, it's it's even more cool, I think, because I don't really have to go anywhere. To I could do that in my pajamas, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I think having 4 kids, I know Abby's, like how old is she? She's almost a
she's almost yeah, she's almost a year old.
yeah. You have kids in all stages of life right now, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I have a 10-year-old all the way down to a 1-year-old.
Y Trying to get them loaded up in the car and going somewhere, like, I'm sure that's crazy. I know you made me and Jess you made us some cappuccinos and, like, dude, it's good, like,
Yeah.
cafe quality. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one, but was there a specific coffee brewing method or experience that completely changed the way you viewed coffee? And
What
what
do
do
you
you
think
like
it is?
it over, it's I'll pour over.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a good answer to this.
Okay.
'Cause for a long time, it was pour over, and, like, I would go home, and I had my, like, really crappy hand grinder. And then I upgraded to, like, a nicer grinder, which is like a Baratza Encore, which is, like, at the time, the only affordable, like now there's so many grinders that are affordable and really good.
Mm,
When I say affordable, I mean, like, relatively, sub $200, but at the time, I was, like, trying to figure out my grinder, and obviously, I worked at a coffee shop, and when I on my days off, I would make coffee at home, and it just wasn't the same. Like, obviously, I was on my little grinder, and then I go to the coffee shop and they have a for $3,500, Malconic, you know what I'm saying? And so all the cups taste amazing, and I go home trying to do the same thing, and I'm like, "Why isn't it working?" But there was a method, pour over called, 4-6 by a guy named Tetsu Kasuya, and he developed the 4-6 method. Now he's reiterated that a few times, but the original 4-6 method, he won the World Barista Championship using the 4-6 method with a hand grinder. And so basically, the goal was to make good coffee, and it doesn't have to be equipment dependent.
mm,
And then at the time, I discovered it, and it changed my whole home barista, like, vibe because I was making really good cups at home using that method without having to get, really fancy equipment. So I was getting I wouldn't say it's the same cafe quality, but I was getting really good cups at home with that setup. And that changed, like, the way I viewed coffee because at first I was always like, "Well, I have to get an super expensive equipment to make really good coffee." And that method, like, kind of flipped that for me where I was like, "Well, the technique matters more than the equipment. If you learn how to make your equipment taste good, you can upgrade all day, and if your technique's crap, you're gonna not have good coffee. But you can kind of maximize the coffee equipment that you have with learning how to use it, right? Learning how extraction works, learning how these things work. So, like, that really changed my whole, like, I guess, like, worldview of, like, what I could do at home,
mm.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, yes. Different than spot.
What is a coffee opinion that you had years ago that you've changed your mind about?
Hmm. I used to think, like, more expensive meant better, right? Like, I got a more expensive grinder, my coffee's gonna be better.
Yeah.
If I got a more expensive machine, my coffee's gonna be better. If I have more expensive, you name it, it's gonna be better.
Mm,
And kinda like what we talked about is like that's not necessarily true. It's true if you have the technique to back it up or you have the other equipment and things have to be right? Your water
mm,
has to be right, your grinder has to be, you know, good and like all the other things that matter. But I don't necessarily think that anymore. I know we talked about this. Like there's a point of diminishing returns. It's like if you have like a super old car and it's a beater car and you buy like a standard, Corolla,
mm,
2026, just like basic Corolla, the upgrade is massive, right? That's like buying a new grinder. The upgrade's massive. If you go from that 2026 Corolla to like a Camry or like a loaded Corolla,
mm.
the jump in quality is much smaller than the jump from this to this, you know? So I'm starting to kind of learn that. I don't necessarily think expensive is better necessarily anymore. Like there is a point of diminishing returns. Um, I wish I would have knew that when I was buying all my stuff. Wasted a lot of money finding that out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know, just that we stuck with our Breville. It was like our wedding gift to ourselves that we bought when we got married. We stuck with that thing for over 5 years, and even at that, like we were back and forth on what we wanted to upgrade to. I know we did get we decided to be bougie and go with the mini, right?
Well, that's like an end game.
Yeah, I
Goes like end game machine for the most part. So
Yeah, and I think that was a conversation we had about that was like, okay, do we want something that's gonna last a little longer, or like do we want to just uh end game, right? Like the plan is for this thing to last us for the next like 10, 20 years because like the quality can hold up to that standard.
for sure.
Uh so that's kind of like the conversation we had. But like there I think even more specifically today, like as of 2026, there's a lot more like budget-friendly alternatives that are out there, like, Fellow is killing it right now. Fellow
Bella's killing it. Dude, I mean, there's a bunch of brands that are making like
Mhm.
really good stuff. Timor is phenomenal. I would say probably the best grinder you can get, like mid-range grind, like that diminishing returns. You
Yeah.
upgrade to a Timor, um, and you buy, some even their stock burrs, like their brew burrs on their like their Epic 078, their brew burrs are incredible. Even on the 64 millimeter one, it's incredible. So like, I mean, you're not gonna find much difference between that and I mean, you'll find a little bit of difference. Obviously, one's gonna be a little bit better, but I
Yeah.
mean, the quality you're gonna get out of that's gonna be incredible. The gap used to be so big. It was either you spend $100 on like a Bronzo Encore, or you spent like 3 grand, 2 grand,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like $1,500. And now there's so much in between that's really good. And even the 200, sub 200, you got Fellow coming out with, the Opus 2, which is like a really good grinder. So I mean, it's kind of amazing how good things have gotten.
I think it's just even, like, the fascination with, like, coffee, like, the way it's kinda, like, just 3rd wave has, like, influenced a lot of that, so I think that's what we're seeing, um, now. Speaking of, like, 3rd wave, some home barista advice to give to some of the listeners. What's the one of the biggest mistakes you see home brewers make?
I would say not like focusing on the wrong things, right? So like we've kind of talked about chasing the next piece of equipment or the next best thing or whatever, and thinking that's going to change your tremendously. I'll try to change a little bit, but the number one thing I see from especially from beginners is not focusing on water. Like we talked about it this morning, water is depending on what you're drinking, but a lot of the flavor impartation is the water interacting with the coffee. And if you're drinking a black coffee, it's most of your drink. If you're drinking an espresso, it's still most of your drink. But if you're watering it down with milk, the flavor you're getting from it is big. So like I would say, buying a lot of equipment, but then not focusing on things like water, not focusing things on like the grinder you're using. Like if I would have done it over again, I probably wouldn't bought the espresso machine that I do have and the grinder I have. I probably would have flipped it and bought a better grinder,
Mm,
probably bought a cheaper machine.
yeah.
But yeah, like not getting the basics right before moving on to the other things, right? I would say that's a mistake I see some people make, which it's a mistake everybody makes. It's a mistake I made. I want the machine to look nice on my kitchen, right? Like, I need it to look nice. Like it looks good. All the stuff looks good. The setup's nice. But yeah, like getting the basics right first.
That's definitely good. That was one of Jess's, like, biggest things too. She's like, "We're not upgrading until, like, we master everything up with it." And then once she started seeing the frustrations, that was, like, the point we got to, "Okay, we got as good as we can get on this
Right.
now." And even at that, like, again, like, that's the whole rabbit hole of, like, what to do, but yeah.
And that's perfect. I mean, you get to the point where you, max out your setup, and when you do that, then that's when it's time to upgrade, right? But, like, I see people, especially, like, on forums and stuff, it's just like, on to the next thing,
Yeah.
and instead of trying to, like, maximize what you have, and then also understanding that not all equipment is made for all types of coffee, but that's learning, like, you just learn that stuff. There's no way you could know that at the beginning, right? So, because it's so confusing at first, and it's just a lot of information. You're looking at all these YouTube videos, and, like, I remember starting pour over recipes and being like, and it's crazy because people on YouTube will be like, "Do this recipe," and, like, it should be out in, like, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's like, "Yeah, but you're using a $2,000 grinder. I gotta," like, it's gonna be different. You're using different coffee. Maybe I'm using a darker roast. Maybe you're using a super light. You know what I mean? It's just so many variables. I think people miss the basics. When you get the basics right, then you kind of understand the variables and what they actually do to, like, manipulate the cup to be better.
Yeah. Now, speaking of equipment, what is one piece of equipment that is worth the investment?
I think the answer is gonna be different than you think. It's not the grinder.
Dang it.
It's not technically a piece of equipment, but it is. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Buy good coffee. So my stepmom was like, "What should I buy?" I was like, "Honestly, you should buy Breville. It has a grinder in it. Like, you can put really good shots. You can, like, you get started." So she bought a barista, Breville Express, and she was like, "Why can't you get it to taste good?" And she's like, buying coffee at the grocery store. It's no offense, but, like, it's not fresh. It's
Mhm.
probably roasted really dark, which, if that's your thing, great.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But I would say buy good coffee because it doesn't matter how good your grinder is. It doesn't matter how good your machine is. You can have the best setup in the world, but if you have stale, old, light roast, dark roast, medium roast, whatever coffee that's not good quality, then your cup's not gonna be good quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I give me, like, a hand grinder with some, like, really good coffee as opposed to, like, a bunch of nice equipment and all this stuff with, like, okay coffee, you know?
Mhm.
So I would say that. I think the biggest investment, I know it's not a piece of equipment necessarily, but invest in your coffee, like, spend money. I'm not saying go get a Gesha every week, that's not what I'm saying, but find a roaster that you like.
Yeah.
Try different roasters. Find one you like, one that, like, fits your flavor profile that you make good cups on, and just, like, what I would do is I would get one thing, and if I really liked it, like, buy more of a different origin and see if you like it. Buy another thing from them, and maybe you just found a roaster you really like, right? And so then you can start to buy really good coffee or get a subscription. There's a bunch of them out there. But that's what I would say. And then the grinder.
Yeah. Nat and I were wrong. I think we both agreed that you were gonna say grinder because Nat had said grinder. So
Yeah.
that's threw me
It's the
for.
second best. Yeah.
It's funny because I think it was the reverse for Nat.
Well,
Nat said
actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna do this. It's good coffee, good water, soft water,
okay.
then a good grinder.
Okay.
I would say grinder's number 3, water's number 2, coffee's number 1. You get those 3 basic things down, you're gonna be golden.
Uh, that makes a lot of sense. I know, we really didn't, like, take care of, like, the water until we upgraded our machine, and now, like, that's a whole 'nother it's a whole 'nother thing, like, part of the basics we probably should learn more about.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even up with a nice machine, you buy a nice machine, you put, hopefully, you don't put tap water in, but if you do, over time, that can ruin your whole machine. You spend all this money, and you just broke your machine in a matter of, what, 5 years or whatever, because the calcium buildup and all that stuff, and so, it is what it is.
Now we've talked about something like that's worth the investment. What is one piece of equipment that is overrated?
I would say that stupid puck press thing. Like,
Okay.
have you seen that? So it's like a thing, you get the portafilter, and instead of tamping and you put it in this machine, and it goes for you.
Oh, yes, it doesn't make any
It's so stupid.
like,
Like, I get it, if you're in a cafe, maybe, but even at that, like, it takes 2 seconds. You can get, like, a self-leveling tamper and go. I
yeah,
mean, it is so easy.
I 100% agree with you, like, I don't understand, like, it just looks cool. I think had Lance Hedrick put a video out where he's like, "Doesn't matter, like, the tamping is like, it doesn't change some of the instructions.
Yeah.
You get like a self-leveling, it's like, you're good. Like that's all you
Yeah, that's all you need. You don't need a $2,000 temping machine. Like, that's dumb. Like, it's dumb, dude. So that's overrated. I'll say that.
if you had to start over from scratch with a limited budget, what would your setup look like?
Great question. What's the limited budget?
That is also a good question. I feel like most people kind of go into it maybe with like wanting to spend under like 200 bucks.
For like for like a drip coffee setup, I would say under 200 bucks. I would probably get a nice hand grinder.
Mm.
I would spend most of the money on the grinder. I would get like a $150 hand grinder. I get a nice one. Um, and then I'd just get a V60. That's it, man. Get the filters, V60, kettle, and you're good. You don't even have to get a fancy kettle. You don't have to get a gooseneck kettle at that
Yeah.
point. That's what I would do. I would find like the best hand grinder I could find for like maybe 180 to $100, and then spend the rest of that money on just get a kettle from Amazon, get some filters and a V60, and you're rocking. For espresso, this is what I would do. I would get probably either I would say Opus Gen 2, or if you wanna go flat burrs, you can get I don't wanna give away all my secrets, but okay, you can go to MacBid if you want to. I do this a lot. I got my Aiden from MacBid for well under anyway, you can bid on things, you can get it for really cheap. There's a grinder on there that just sold for $60. 64 millimeter flat burrs, probably not the best burrs in the world, but the grinder builds alright. I'd replace the burrs with, like, really nice burrs.
Yeah.
Um, and then I would get a Breville Bambino,
Yeah. I was
which
thinking of the
steam on and the thing, no grinder, and then you have a perfect setup for pulling really good shots, making milk drinks, like, doing all that stuff. You have a really nice grinder, and then you have the Bambino, and then over time, you could just upgrade the Bambino and get a nicer machine, but your grinder's gonna be you're gonna be solid. So,
Yep.
yeah, so, like, SSP multipurpose burrs and go crazy.
That's definitely good. I think I would have done like something similar as far as like just getting something that can steam milk and pull a shot and then getting the grinder separate.
Mhm.
Now, you're a husband, father of four, and you work outside of coffee now. How does coffee fit into your daily life?
It's that morning ritual. Like, me and my wife do it and drink it together in the morning, like, have that kinda just that time. It's cool because like, I started doing this thing, we try to do it every day is where, like, we'll make some coffee, wake up early enough to do it, to make some coffee, kinda sit down at the table and just, like, start the day together, and, like, the kids will kinda come around too, we'll read a little bit, pray, and then, like, start our day, which is really cool, and so, it's kinda worked itself in to our lives daily, which is fun. It's just that morning kinda ritual, not to be, like, super cheesy or whatever, but it really is. It's just turned into, like, a morning thing, you know? Having that cup of coffee together is cool.
Jess and I do something similar. It's just that, like you said earlier, like the way you like slowing down and kind of just taking a moment to breathe, like take it all in before things start popping off. Kids start asking, like needing things, or you're getting calls from work, or like
Yeah.
something's going on with the house.
Yeah, my favorite thing is to ask Lexi, like, "Do you want, like, a sweet drink or do you want, like, some drip?" Like, and it's fun because like, typically when she gets espresso, she'll drink, like, a ice cap with, like, a little bit of honey or something, or we'll just drink drip together or ice Americano. That's, like, my favorite question to ask her. It's, like, my love language to be like, "Can I make you something? Can I make you a dog?"
I wish I could do that with Jess. Now Jess is like, nope, I'm gonna make it myself. Like, get out the way. Has your relationship with coffee changed as your life has changed?
Dramatically. Yeah, I used to be the guy that spent, like I'm exaggerating, but, like, 2 hours to make a cup of coffee, like
I think you're exaggerating.
no, like, I would go into detail. I mean, I would grind, I would, like, sit there, I'd make 2 pour overs, like, and, like, be meticulous, and just with how many kids we got, and I kinda just, like, want things to be easier, and so, like, I even like, we talked about it this morning, like, I have this super light roasted coffee that I love, and it's from Say, like, that's, like, one of my favorite roasters,
Mhm.
and they're not hard to extract, but, like, it takes some work to get that cup,
Yeah.
and I just don't wanna do the work anymore, man. I want I want it to be easier. I just want so, like, now, I don't think I've made a pour over in, like 6 months.
Oh,
Ever since I got the fellow Aiden, so it's just all automatic, and dude, I've been getting some of the best cups ever. So, like, why would I make a pour over? But I think I've kinda, like, swayed over as I got older to back into more convenience to where I just want it to be easy. I still want it to be really good, but I want it to be easy. You know, I don't wanna really work too hard to get the cup or whatever. I would say that's changed because I remember when I was, like, even a few years ago, I'd be freaking pour over, spending, like, literally probably 15 minutes just to make 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
We dial it in, press a button, go get ready, we come back and drink your coffee, like, I think that's how it's changed a little bit because it's a little bit more I want it to be easier as I get older.
Now, I know you made a lot of connections through, like, the community and coffee, like, we know mutual people and stuff like that, so why do you think coffee creates such a strong community and, in friendships?
What's cool about coffee is, like, it's really easy to hang with. Like, I feel like it's harder, like, if I were to be like, "Hey, Chris, you wanna go to dinner?" It's a little, like, more of a it's a commitment to do that. I think if I were to be like, "Chris, you wanna go get lunch?" It's still a commitment, but it's, like, less of a commitment.
Yeah.
But if I were to be like, "Bro, you wanna go get coffee?" It's just a little bit more it's easier. It's just easier, and uh, I think that's kind of part of it, but also too, like, people really like it. Like, people really like coffee, and it's kinda one of the things, like, if you do really like it, you can kinda nerd out about different spots and, like, trying in different places and different things, and, you know so I think you kinda have this community, especially in San Antonio, man. I think San Antonio has an underrated coffee scene. I remember going to New York, nothing if you're from New York, sorry. But I remember going, like, a while back, it's probably changed. What's funny is that my favorite roaster's out in New York, ironically. But I remember going I didn't know about them back then, but I remember going and kind of really not being impressed by the coffee scene down there. And I remember coming back to San Antonio and just being like, "Dude, there is so much good coffee here, like, really good coffee." I mean, you can go eat now, especially, you can just go anywhere. I mean, there's good coffee in every single part of town now. It used to be, like, only downtown or only and then indie popped up, and it was, like, at UTSA, so that was the only one over there. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, now it's just everywhere, and you can get really good I mean, really, really good coffee pretty much anywhere now.
100%.
But I think it's part of it. It's something people like. I think it's something that kinda creates community because of how, like, I guess, non-committal it is, but you can still, like, vibe out, you know? You'd still go have a quick coffee or, you know, even after prayers tonight, we'll go to prayer in the morning, and right after, we're just vibing, you know? It's quick coffee, talking for a little bit, go home. You know,
Yeah.
it kinda naturally just creates that community. I think it's pretty cool.
And I think even, like, what San Antonio is definitely slept on as far as the coffee, like, we went to Austin, right? Like, we went to Austin to Prac, and it was we didn't even bother stopping to get coffee. Honestly, like, because like, the last times we've been extremely disappointed, other than Proud Mary, but, like, I wasn't about to go and sit down and, if I go to Proud Mary, I wanna sit down and I wanna
Yeah,
I wanna enjoy it. But if we're just, like, going through it's not, like, in the itinerary,
yeah.
I'm not gonna go to my way. Even New York too, like, Jess and I have gone to New York, we tried coffee there. We had some good cups, don't get me wrong, like, we stopped at Say. Say was great, but the remainder of the shops we tried, like, it didn't hit like the ones in San Antonio. Maybe it's because we're biased. God, we've done coffee in Portland. Like, for our first year anniversary, we went straight to Portland just for the coffee. Tried so many shops, and we're still disappointed.
Yeah.
Coffee in LA, coffee in Colorado, like we've done it's just it doesn't hit the same. Maybe we're just being biased because we love San Antonio, but
Sure, yeah, maybe if we're from there, you find the spots, right?
yeah.
But, like, I feel like in San Antonio, dude, it's just so easy, dude. There's so many spots, and they're so good. It's definitely better than Austin. Shout out Proud Mary, shout out Desnudo. It's the only 2 shops in Austin that I really vibe with, but, dude, the coffee scene in San Antonio is pretty cool. There's a lot of, like, history too, there's a lot of OGs, like Theory, Mark, pretty much all the coffee shops in San Antonio came out of either Brown or local, but
Mm,
all the big ones, right? So
yeah.
Indy, local, Theory was at a local, Brown, you had people come out of Brown, and then all the shops that came up from there. Because it's kinda cool to see, like I don't wanna say like this, it's kinda cheesy, but, like, the generations of, like, people getting inspired because I feel like people got inspired by local and Brown, and then that started places like Gold
Mm,
and Theory and Indie, and, like, so you have all these places, and then people get inspired by those places, and then they start their stuff, you know?
yeah.
And so it's pretty cool to see that because you kinda have this, like, scene of the coffee that's been, like, almost, like, passed down, like, generational. You got, like, the OGs, it's Ska Mafia. You got the some of the OGs at the top, and then, the young all the young bucks coming up with other floofy drinks, other good floofy drinks. No.
I mean, yes, you're right. I think, like, like, with Mila, right? You had,
Yeah, Mila's another one, yeah.
yeah, you had Mila, and then, some of the guys from Mila went and opened 8 Ball, and, like,
Mhm.
and the fact that it's, like, it's I think what I really like about it too, like, everyone's always pulling up to everyone's throwdowns, or, like, I went to a throwdown at Mila last month or 2 months ago, and the guys from Indy, they just popped in. They didn't stay the whole time, but the fact that they even just showed up just to show some love and then dip out, and, like, just the way you got together.
That's the coolest part about the scene, I think, is that, like, everybody's for everybody as long as you're good. Like,
No, you're right, yeah.
as long as you're good, they're gonna support it. Bright, you have places like Bright popping up and,
Oh,
SnoFi and I mean, 10, I would say shout out 10. 10 is like I feel like people don't believe me when I say this because it's the only place I do go get coffee because I have 4 kids, so the only time I'm really going out, we go to church and then they serve coffee at church. I go to prayer, so it's really the only times I'm, like, going to a coffee shop, but I'm really going for the church more than for the coffee shop.
yeah.
This happens to be in the church, but I will say I think 10 is probably the one of the best, if not the best in town. Like, and I'm not just saying that because I go to church there. I would say it's at least top 3 for me. It's like, dude, like, it's if you haven't tried 10, go try it. It's good. That's something for everybody.
Even the cup I had this morning was really good.
Oh, it is bad for it. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, attention to detail. Manny is probably the only person I know that is more detail oriented than I am. I love that. He's super detail oriented.
So I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions,
Good.
and we'll just have a closing question. We'll just wrap it up from there.
Let's do it.
What is your favorite brewing method?
Drip on the Aiden.
That's a good one. I have to try it. I'm
It's so good.
I'm trying to
Come over. I'll make you an insane cup on the Aiden.
bet. What's your favorite coffee origin?
Ooh, he's gonna be super nerdy, but specifically pink bourbon varietal beans. If you didn't know, there's varieties of beans. There's like has varieties of different flowers and types of flowers, like in species. Pink bourbon is a type of bean, and there's some roasters that do a pink bourbon Colombia out of Colombia that are just some of the best cups you'll ever have. Super clean, bright, punchy, juicy, acidic, like all that is like pink bourbon. My second would be Ethiopia, like a Landrans. But pink bourbon is like top tier for me.
What's one coffee trend you love?
Coffee trend I love. People are going lighter on the roasts. I think brighter and lighter, and people are learning to make really good drinks with that. I think that's cool.
Going coarser?
Yeah, go coarser, dude. Seriously, go coarser. That's like I mean, that's something that I changed a lot. I used to go finer, hotter water, finer, and now
Yeah.
I don't brew anything past 195 degrees.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything I'm brewing is like not 195 and below, or 90 Celsius and below, or 91 Celsius and below. Um, and coarse
Mm.
because it's just less fines and you get a better cup.
What's one coffee trend you wish would disappear?
Matcha.
What's one coffee recommendation that every listener should try this year?
I would say go to a good shop and ask the barista, probably someone that's been there for a while. Like if you go to a shop and you see someone that's there a lot, probably been there for a while, and ask them what their favorite drink is and try it. Or what do they recommend and try it. Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna go, "What do you like?" And then you're gonna be like, "Oh, I kinda like this, that," and they're gonna try to get what you like and recommend it to you because that's what I do when people ask me that. But if someone were to come up to me and go, "Hey, what do you get? And what do you like?" Then I would tell them, "Get a cap, and then when you're done with the cap, get some drip, and it's gonna change your life." And do it with an open mind. Like, if they say espresso, try the espresso and do it with an open mind. Like the goal isn't to get my mom does this to me where she's like, "Oh, I don't know how you drink the black coffee. It's just like motor oil. You just like it strong." I'm like, no, if it tasted like that, I would not drink it. Like it's good. Like if you go into it with an open mind, you might be surprised. You might hate it, but you might be surprised. You might awaken something in you that you didn't know you liked. Maybe you Maybe you like drip coffee. Maybe you like pour overs. Maybe you discover something really cool. But be open. Ask the barista what their favorite drink is and try it.
For our closing question, if someone listening wants to improve their coffee at home but feels overwhelmed, what's the first step you tell them to take?
Let's start with the basics. Go to basics, like elementary basics. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed, just start with like start from square one. Okay, water. Do it like use spring water. You know, that simple upgrade. That's what I use. I don't use any fancy water. You can get fancy, but I use spring water. Like use soft water. Buy a really good coffee. Don't buy anything crazy. Light, light, light. Buy something light, medium that's easy to extract, but still have tons of flavor. And then like just keep it simple. Like keep it simple. Go back to simple. Simple things, simple methods, simple stuff.
Marcos, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with us. Appreciate all that you shared with us. And if you guys want to catch him, sometimes he's at 10. Uh,
I'll be safe. I'll be at 10, throwing it down.
August State.
Guess Farisa at 10. Yes.
Which one?
Higher, bro.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.